Hey, what's going on everybody? It's etaprime back here again. Today we're going to be talking about the upcoming Ayn Odin. Recently, they launched a preview Indiegogo page for the Odin, so we have a lot more information about it. And I'm super excited about this. I personally love Android handhelds. I love emulation on Android. And if this is done correctly, this could turn out to be the best Android handheld to come to market yet. So as of making this video, the Odin's Indiegogo page is still in preview, but we can still take a look at basically everything that's on here. This should go live soon. I will leave a link to it in the description. I'm not exactly sure when it's going live. But from my experience with Indiegogo, having a preview page up like that means that the launch is imminent. Now what we have here is an Android gaming console, and yeah, like I mentioned, I am super excited about this. I cannot wait to get my hands on one. We will have passive cooling, active cooling, got an ergonomical grip here, LED lights on the analog sticks, and they're offset like the Xbox controller. Dock support with USB and HDMI, and it looks like maybe GameCube controllers here. And if you don't want to opt for the dock, this does support HDMI and display over USB Type-C. Stereo sound, analog triggers. This is going to be a big plus, especially for racing games. They've got a custom game launcher here and button mapping built in. I know it's a little hard to see here, but this should all be built into the operating system. That way we can set up the buttons that are built into the Odin so we can play games that don't natively support controllers on Android, specifically Genshin Impact, at least as making this video. Hopefully official controller support does come soon for Android. Obviously, game streaming is going to be available on this. You're going to be able to do Stadia, xCloud, Steam streaming, GeForce Now. As long as there's an app available for Android, game streaming should work out pretty decent on this. It does have Wi-Fi 5, not Wi-Fi 6, but if you have a good connection and a decent router at your house, this should give you a good experience. As for the operating system on the Odin, it fully supports Project Treble, and what this allows us to do is easily flash different custom ROMs, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot from the community without losing any of our data. This is something I personally really like seeing. Back in the day when Android was first released, everybody was building ROMs and I would switch out basically every single day. I would lose all of my data. But with the Odin having Project Treble built in and the fact that I know there's going to be a lot of developers out there creating custom ROMs for this thing, this is going to make it a lot easier to go ahead and flash a ROM without losing anything so you can test out the new features that are built into said ROM. Here's a look at the built-in buttons and the I/O on the Odin. As for the display, it's a 5.98 inch IPS, I'm going to call it a 6-inch display at 1080p with a 16:9 aspect ratio. Up front, we have our microphone, home button, ABXY, dual analog sticks with L3 and R3, start, select, and a D-pad. Like we already saw, this does have analog triggers built in, plus we have our two shoulder buttons, our on and off switch, volume, we do have a vent for that active cooling, a micro SD card slot, and HDMI. They've even added a 3.5mm audio jack on the bottom of the unit, plus our USB Type-C connector. They're actually going to be offering 3 different variants of this. We have the Lite, the Base, and the Pro. For the Odin Lite, we have white, transparent black, transparent white, and cold gray. For the Pro model, which is one that I'll definitely be opting for, you can pick up blue, green, red, black, or atomic purple, otherwise known as transparent purple, and when it comes to handhelds, this is my favorite color to go with, so I will try to opt for the transparent purple version. Now that at least the preview of the Indiegogo is up, we have the definitive specs here. So we have the Pro model and the Lite model. The Pro is going to be powered by the Snapdragon 845. It's a bit of an older CPU, but it's still a great Snapdragon CPU and handles emulation and gaming really, really well. I've been wanting to see a Snapdragon powered handheld for a while, and we're finally getting one. The 845 comes in the base and the Pro model, but if you go with the base, you're going to get 4GB of LPDDR4X RAM. If you go with the Pro, you're going to get 8. And that also transfers over to the storage. For the base, built-in 64, but remember we have that micro SD card slot. With the Pro, you get 128. In the past, I've done a lot of testing with the Snapdragon 845, and I still own the Galaxy S9 Plus. Has the same CPU, but we only have 6GB of RAM. In a sec, I do want to show off a little bit of emulation performance on that device. But when it comes to the Lite version, this one is a bit different. This is a chipset that I have not tested on my channel just yet. It's the MediaTek Dimensity D1000C. 8 cores, we have 4 Cortex A77 cores running at 2 GHz and 4 A55 cores running at 2 GHz, paired up with the Mali G57 MC5 GPU. With the Lite model, we can only opt for 4 GB of RAM. And it looks like when it comes to these MediaTek Dimensity CPUs, the D1000C is much different from the 1000 Plus, given that the 1000 Plus does have a single core that does boost up to 3 GHz, and it has an MC9 GPU instead of the MC5. So it is a lower end variant, but this should do really well for Android gaming and emulation. I wouldn't count on doing GameCube all day long on that chip, but there are a couple games that should run decently on it. Another couple differences between the base and the Pro versus the Lite version. The base comes with a 5000 mAh battery, Pro is a 6000, Lite has a 5000, and the base and Pro support Quick Charge 3.0. The Lite only supports fast charging. When it comes to pricing, the Odin base during crowdfunding should be $199. I'm not sure if this is going to be early bird and how many units they're going to have. Retail is $235. The Odin Pro is going to come in at $249, $293 retail, and for the Lite, $165 and $194 retail. Not exactly sure how many early bird units they're going to have, but usually these companies do a limited quantity of early bird specials to keep the price down on those, and then you'll kind of have to pay regular price for the rest of them. And I gotta say, for these Android-powered handhelds, the price on that really isn't that bad. $250 for the Pro model, 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage. I mean, the handheld itself looks absolutely beautiful in any color you choose. And when we're talking about the clocks on both of these CPUs, there is a chance that they could up these a little bit through software, given that we do have active and passive cooling built in, but I wouldn't expect a super jump in performance just upping the clock by 100 to 200 megahertz on the CPU, but once you do that to the GPU, we could see a really decent boost in GPU performance out of both of these chips. But I really want to get an idea of how these devices are going to perform. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I do own the Galaxy S9 Plus. It has that same Snapdragon 845 CPU, but we only have 6 gigs of RAM. It's still LPDDR4X, so what I did was record a little bit of emulation footage just to give you an idea of what this Snapdragon can do in the Odin. So first up, we have Dreamcast using the Redream emulator DOA2 at 1280 by 960. When it comes to Dreamcast on the Snapdragon 845, we're not going to run into any issues. As long as the game's compatible with the emulator, it'll run it at full speed. Moving over to PSP using the standalone version of PPSSPP from the Google Play Store, Chains of Olympus, 2x resolution, Vulkan backend, no hacks, no frame skip, we're running at a constant 60. PSP has always been great on these Snapdragon devices, from the 820 on up to the latest 888. Now I know a lot of people are excited about GameCube and Wii emulation on the Odin handheld, and with the Snapdragon 845 it's going to be possible to play a lot of these games at full speed, but it doesn't mean it's going to run every Wii and GameCube game. Here we have Sonic Colors. This is a Wii game being emulated with the Dolphin emulator. This natively ran at 30 FPS. We're getting great performance here. This game is fully playable at the native resolution. But once we move up to the harder to emulate games like Automodalista for GameCube, you can see that it won't run it at full speed. I've used the Vulkan backend, OpenGL backend, I've tried some hacks and everything like that. We can't quite hit 60 with a game like this. But keep in mind, this is a harder one to emulate when it comes to GameCube on Android, and I cannot play this game with a touch screen. And when it comes to native Android gaming, both of these devices should handle most everything really well. Genshin Impact, Call of Duty Mobile, we got some PUBG. Just kind of wanted to show this off a little bit. This is Genshin Impact, medium settings, 60 FPS. But either way you look at it, just checking out the specs of the Odin does make it one of the most powerful Android handhelds to come to market. I mean, you see some custom ones on the market every once in a while, but with something like a Snapdragon 845 and a beautiful handheld like this, I personally think that this is going to turn out to be an awesome little portable device. The main thing that the Odin Pro model is going to be compared to right now, because of the $250 price tag, is definitely going to be the Steam Deck. The base model's coming in at $399 with 16 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of storage. And you know, if you're looking to get the best performance out of a handheld, I would definitely go with the Steam Deck. But if you want to spend a little less and you know exactly what you're getting into with the Odin, then this could be an awesome little handheld for you. That's going to wrap it up for this video. Really appreciate you watching. I can't wait to get my hands on one to do some testing. I'm going to see if I can get my hands on the Pro model and the Lite model. This is something I've actually been looking forward to for a while now. And this device is definitely going to pave the way for more powerful Android handhelds down the road. If you're interested in learning more about the Odin, I will leave a couple links in the description, and I'd also like to know if you're interested in getting one. Are you going to be picking one up? Are you going to skip it? Are you going to wait for the Steam Deck or wait for the next iteration? if you're going to get one, or you're going to go for the Lite or the Pro model. I'd actually like to hear your thoughts, so let me know in the comments below. But that's it for this one, and like always, thanks for watching.